So we're talking about privacy screens today. You probably clicked in here because it is something that everybody is looking for, especially if you live in a neighborhood where you have windows of your neighbors looking right down into your space. So we're going to talk about privacy screens. We're going to talk about different plants that we could use for privacy, but lots of other solutions right now in this video. I hope you enjoy it a lot. Enjoy. Privacy solution number one is to identify the privacy problem. Now, this might seem extremely basic, but we want to, first of all, count how many areas of privacy concerns do you have in your project, in your backyard, in your property. So do you have a neighbor's window? Do you have multiple windows? Do you have multiple neighbors' windows? Do you have an upper deck where people could look over? Do you have a lower deck where people could be standing on and look over? So identifying the problem areas, the areas of concern, to be able to then come up with solutions is our first key area that we're going to cover. Now, as part of this, we want to identify what we want to have in our backyard space. Do we want an outdoor fire pit? Do we want a hot tub? Do we want an outdoor kitchen? Do we want an outdoor dining area? Maybe a covered area with a fireplace? Do we want an outdoor TV? So what do we want in our space? Once we identify what we want and then some of the problem areas for privacy, then we can start coming up with solutions for those spaces. So that's number one, is let's identify the problems and let's come up with what we want to have in our space to be able to have that privacy. Okay, our solution number two. I want to talk to you about wood privacy screens. Now, wood privacy screens come in so many different shapes and sizes. And really, they're flexible with what they can provide privacy for. So in this first instance, we have a hot tub. Now we see the hot tub here, it's against the house, but if we look closely there, we have a neighbor on both sides, but really one of the sides of the house have windows that are pointing right into the space and really right into that hot tub space. Now, of course, when we're out hot tubbing with our mate, with our family, we don't necessarily want people peeking in on that time. That's our time. That's relaxation time. So really, it's important in this situation to give a private area. So a privacy screen does amazing. So we can either keep the slats small and tight, or we can open them up a little bit and let some air run through. Because really, a privacy screen is there to just kind of block and just provide that visual block, but also the mental block that this is a private area. So privacy screens for a hot tub are one thing. Now let's look at this situation where we have a privacy screen that's blocking a very nearby neighbor. In fact, this is this very small yard, and right behind it, they have the neighbor with their deck right there. So what we did was we provided this privacy screen here, and it really acts as almost a wall. But really it still allows air to flow through that, and it allows a visual stop of your eye, but it's also very attractive. Another thing I want to say about privacy screens out of a window, so if you're looking inside of a window and you want to protect yourself from the neighbor next to you, a privacy screen could be a beautiful solution to give you that privacy. You can just have that stop of your eye. It also allows a trellis, so a jasmine could grow on it, Other climbing plants can grow on that trellis, and it really provides a beautiful anchor for a plant to grow on, but a beautiful anchor for your eye to stop at as you look from inside the house outside of a window. Solution number 3 to your privacy concerns is a living wall. Now, living walls really can come in any shape and size you can imagine. They could be right outside of a window, so what you look at from inside the house captures the attention, captures the view, protects the view, so to speak, from the neighbor next door. Look at this situation that we have in this privacy screen. Obviously, you can tell we elevated it up. We put it above the fence there, but really what you're seeing from the homeowner that owned the privacy screen, this was their office, by the way, and as they looked out, they were looking right out into the neighbor's window. So this really does give you a beautiful wall of living art to enjoy from inside your office, from the view from your house looking out. Now, a living wall doesn't necessarily need to be framed art of living plants. It could be even a wall of vines. But really look at what we've accomplished here. It's almost a framed art piece along the whole fence. So we created these vines, they're jasmine vines, and look at how beautiful this was in this situation. So remember, get creative. Do living art pieces along your fence lines, along your sight lines, and you will create beautiful works of art to enjoy that are going to change and blossom and just give you beauty to look at instead of the neighbor to look at. Now remember I said that privacy solutions can come in all different budget levels. I want to introduce one of the higher end solutions for privacy in your backyard space, and that is an outdoor room or a covered structure, especially with a wall. But an outdoor room with a wall provides an excellent ability to get privacy in the space. You can wall off where the privacy concerns are coming from. So for instance, you can have privacy concerns at one of the ends of the property, and you can design the space in such a way where the wall will protect you from somebody looking into that space. Now I have to say, this will make your neighbor happy too. People often wonder what they're seeing. If they're not looking right into your space, your neighbor is happy. They want to give you the privacy that you're wanting. They also want privacy for themselves. So a wall with maybe a little bit of a buffer hedge that we're going to talk about later is a great solution for a backyard space.
So you can see here we have lots of different privacy solutions, and we're going to talk a lot more about other ones, but I wanted to interrupt real quick and just say how important it is to get a good design of your space. We'd love to offer our services if you're having a hard time finding a local designer. We design all over the world, so wherever you're at, we'd love to help you out with a good 3D rendering of your whole space. We'll show your windows, we'll show your door, and we'll show you your whole property and where those sight lines might need to be improved. We also want to ask you if you wouldn't mind doing this, just taking the time to subscribe below and being a part of our community. We'd love to have you as part of it. It's a fun space and we're really growing as a channel, so we'd love to have you.
For the next privacy solution, I want to talk about this small backyard and then extend it to other properties. But in this little backyard, we did so many things to protect the homeowner from windows, from neighbors, from people looking into their space. And really what we did in this backyard was started with a focal feature of the structure. So we used the lean-to style structure, or you might call it a shed style structure. Now I think I like about a lean-to structure is I can make that front side really high, and I can kind of protect the sight lines from inside the homeowner's house as they look out, and basically make it so what they're looking at, even if they have taller windows, is they're looking right into their own structure, especially if there's a neighbor right behind them. Now another thing that a shed style structure gives you the ability to do is put a privacy screen on the back side. And look at what we did here. We put in a louvered screen put a light behind it, and that adds its own little art piece to the structure. So again, we're attracting your eye to beauty instead of the window. And look at the window. It's harder to see here, but there's a window right behind that structure, and it could potentially be looking right into the space. So again, a lean-to style structure, strategically placed, can really provide a lot of privacy for not only the space that you're in, but in other spaces in that area. As long as it's strategically planned out to identify those problems that we talked about in number 1, screen those problem areas of your landscape. So for our next solution, of course, we're going to talk about living plants, hedges, strategically placed trees, large shrubs, whatever we can do to provide that living buffer between our neighbors. We want to definitely consider this, if not for sure do this. So we can use hedges. We're going to show you lots of different solutions right now. We got arborvitae hedges, we got Portuguese laurel hedges, we got laurel hedges, we have even Italian cypress, Leland cypress. We have just a hedge of trees. Maybe it's large hydrangeas, or maybe it's a mix of everything. But that buffer that gives you the ability to take that neighbor almost out of the equation. It gives you a backdrop of living nature, even though your neighbor's right behind that hedge or right behind those trees. Your eye will not hardly notice them because of the living nature that's around you. So living plants, I would say, is one of the top considerations for privacy solutions that you should consider. The next privacy solution could be a strategically placed fireplace. Now look at this situation here. You have the window in the back. They can still kind of see into the space, but look at what this does to just add that mental buffer, that physical buffer to protect you from the neighbor next door, looking right into your space. A fireplace gives you, as the homeowner, as the person in the outdoor living space, a beautiful focal point for your eyes. You have the flames there. You can call that the caveman TV. It's just going to captivate you as you look into the flames of your fireplace. And it's going to draw your attention to your space and not the fact that you have a neighbor right next door that potentially could be looking right down into the space. The fireplace is protecting you from their view. It's going to block that. It's going to provide a stop for their eyes. So a fireplace is a magnificent solution to provide that privacy from your neighbor. The next solution is in addition to what we've already talked about, those hedges, those plants, that living wall that we talked about. I just want to add its own category to this next one, and it's bamboo privacy. Now, the reason I want to bring bamboo into the equation and make it different than the other ones is because bamboo can be a very tall living wall, but take up a very narrow footprint in your courtyard. So bamboo is very unique in what it can do. It can cover a second-story window very well, but take in very small footprint of that backyard space for your house. So bamboo, it should at least be considered. Now, bamboo, of course, needs to be planted properly. I cannot stress this enough. Do the research, think through everything you can think through. Make sure bamboo is right for you. But if you plant it properly, bamboo is phenomenal at giving privacy. So bamboo is a wonderful solution if it's properly considered and somebody takes the time and plants it properly, then you will love your bamboo privacy screen. Another privacy screen solution I want to talk about is metal privacy screens. Now these could be laser cut in many different shapes and sizes, and they can add a beautiful focal point for you to see not only while you're outside, but while you're inside the house looking outside. Now these laser cut metal screens can be screens for a border, but they could also be that hot tub screen that we talked about earlier, the same as a wood screen. You can put them on the back of a hot tub. These metal privacy screens are very flexible. You can do them in the landscape, you can do them on a deck, you can build custom wood frames around them. You can do them in so many different shapes and sizes. Now I'm going to have some links below to one that I do recommend. They fit lots of different budget levels, even a very low budget. You can get a lot of privacy from these privacy screens on a very tight budget.
So we hope you enjoyed this privacy screen video. There's so many different solutions, and I hope that you found one that resonates with you and that you can use in your space. So I want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video, guys. If you have any questions or need anything, please comment below and I'll be happy to comment on those and answer those. And I just want to say thank you again for watching and subscribing. We'll talk to you soon.